Call center job interviews could be extremely intimidating if you don't know what to expect as a beginner. That's why in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 10 types of questions that interviewers ask during a call center job interview. The first one is intro questions. Intro questions are questions about who you are, how you got there, and relevant professional information about you. It usually starts with the interviewer introducing herself and explaining the purpose of the interview.
I'm going to be your interviewer for today. I'm going to be asking you a series of questions about yourself, your background, why you're a good fit for the job, and throughout the interview, And of course, the very first question would be, tell me about yourself.
For this question, you have to mention something about you that's relevant to the call center industry. I graduated from a computer programming course, but I ended up working in customer service for a milk tea store for 2 years. Although you may share something interesting about you that's not necessarily call center related. Another common intro question would be, why do you want to work in a call center? If a higher salary is your main reason for wanting to work in a call center, which is the reason most of us have, then you can be honest about it. I want to help my parents get back on their feet financially. Just make sure to highlight the benefits of hiring you. So there's a balance between what they can do for you and what you can do for them. If you were to hire me, you can very well expect that I will treat this job as how I treat anything important in my life. And the next type is questions about how much you know about the call center industry and the company. The interviewer would want to know whether you've done the necessary research to understand the basics of the industry.
What is your idea of a call center? What do you know about the tasks of a call center agent? Why do you want to work at our company?
Because no one would want to hire someone who doesn't have a slight knowledge of what he's getting into, what he's applying for. Based on my research, because I've done a lot of research on this, call center agents talk to customers about products and services. It could be inbound, where the customers are calling the call center, the agents, to ask for help about something. For example, the other day I called Globe about a missing prepaid load and an agent helped me recover it. I think that was inbound. And there's another setup which is outbound, where the one doing the calling are the agents, and they're calling the customers to either sell something or to conduct a survey. And the next type is questions about your compatibility with a company. So these are questions that are close-ended and require short answers. What's your salary expectation? Can you handle irate customers? Are you amenable to working overtime, holidays, graveyard shifts, shifting schedules? Your answers should match exactly to what they're looking for. If you say no to working on holidays, overtime, graveyard shifts, then you're simply not compatible with the nature of the job. No matter how good you are, they're likely not going to hire you.
And are you amenable to working the graveyard shift and holidays?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about Christmas and New Year? Are you okay with working during those holidays and not being with your family?
Yes, I am. The next one is your employment history status. What were you doing between 2015 to 2017? This is when the interviewer sees a gap in your resume and wants you to explain what you were doing within the unaccounted years that you weren't working. Why did you leave your last job? Or why did you stop pursuing your profession? Were you fired? Were you bored? Was the salary insufficient? These are things that the interviewer wants to gauge from you, and make sure that you have a ready answer that you can support.
You said that you loved your previous job, but why did you quit?
I want to upgrade my skills. I have been handling customer service locally. It was a great experience. It was helpful, but I think it's time for me to explore on an international level. And the next one is questions about your future plans. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you plan to continue your education in the future? What are your career goals? Do you plan to pursue additional education? The purpose of these questions is to determine how long you intend to stay in the call center industry. The longer, the better, and the more lucrative it is for the company. But it doesn't mean that you just have to say, I'm going to stay here forever. 3 years minimum would be good. They do understand that to some applicants, to some people, call center is just a temporary workplace, and that's fine.
How long do you intend to work before you go back to school?
Honestly, it's hard to tell exactly when or if I ever will. This is an opportunity that I am yet to explore, so anything could happen, but my plan is to at least work for 3 years, and then I would reconsider my options by then.
Okay.
Number 6 and number 7 are situational and behavioral interview questions. These are questions that put you in certain scenarios and ask what you would do or have done. Situational questions ask about hypothetical or possible future scenarios, what you would do in a certain situation. Behavioral questions ask about the past. Situational questions, how would you handle an irate customer? How would you deal with a difficult boss? How would you handle negative feedback? What would you do if you were asked to complete a task you've never done before? How would you explain a challenging issue to a customer? These are questions that are usually asked to beginners. While behavioral questions are, tell me about a time when you handled an irate customer. In your experience, what's the best way to help a customer who has worked with multiple agents and hasn't received the help they need? Can you tell me about a time when you made a great contribution to your team? Describe a time when you weren't happy at work and why.
How would you handle a dissatisfied customer who ordered a dress from your company and got the wrong dress instead? What would you do?
Well, I would have to tell her that the only option is a refund. But then if there's any way that I could make it better for her, like for example, maybe I could give her a voucher if the company allows, then I would definitely give her a voucher because it's an inconvenience. But at the very least, I would definitely express my sincere apology and probably also an explanation as to why it happened. I think customer really needs to hear that. The scenarios would usually be focused on customer service, but expect to hear questions about your soft skills, like how you get along with a team, your teamwork ability, stress management, your adaptability to change, your communication skills.
Give me an example of how you performed well under pressure and how you handled it.
Well, there was this one time when I was tasked by our instructor to represent our class in Buwan ng Wika. So it was an intermission number I was supposed to sing. And I practiced a lot for 3 days straight, but for some reason I lost my voice. It was impossible to sing. And my instructor, of course, wasn't pleased at all. And I felt like it was my responsibility to make it right somehow. So I told him that I would write a short role play. And yeah, I spent one long sleepless night to just finish that role play. And with some persuasion, I was able to convince my two of my classmates to act out my role play. And so they said yes, and we were able to present that role play at the last minute. Well, not last minute, but within a day before the event. It was successful. I would say it was great, provided the limited time we had. And the next one I would call is the Climax hiring questions. So these are the big hiring questions. If you've made it to the initial parts and your interviewer likes you so far, this is where she's going to double down on you and ask you big hiring questions that are very important that you answer correctly. Because this is where the interviewer decides whether your skills are relevant to the company and your values align with theirs. Why should we hire you? What are your strengths? What's your biggest weakness? What is your definition of a good boss?
Why should we hire you?
Okay, aside from my job experience and my intention to stay in this industry long term, I do not shy away from irate customers. I never shy away from them, even if it's uncomfortable. I have experienced handling them. I know how to handle them, and I have the mental strength to do it. But that's not the end of it. We still have the weird out-of-the-box questions. These are weird questions because they're random and they're not necessarily job-related. Why are pizzas round? Describe the color green to a blind person. If you were an animal, what would you be and why? The purpose of an out-of-the-box question is to purposely catch you off guard so the interviewer sees how you would handle a certain question or situation and how you would get yourself out of that sticky situation. The good thing is there's no right or wrong answer. You just have to come up with answers that you can strongly support. So feel free to be as creative as you can. As long as you can explain why you're saying what you're saying, then you're good.
Why do you think pizzas are round?
I don't think all pizzas are round. I think there's this pizza called Sicilian pizzas, and they're traditionally square. I love pizza, so I know this. But if you're asking why pizzas are usually round, I think it's for convenience. It's just easier to form a pizza dough with a round shape with your bare hands. When I make a dough, my hands would be like this. So that's naturally round. So you just cannot form a square. It would be awkward. And lastly, the follow-up questions. So these are questions that can pop up anywhere and anytime in the interview. As you probably already know, in a job interview, the interviewer is going to ask you many questions that will reveal relevant information about you. But the thing is, interviewers won't just accept your statement at face value. Some will try to poke holes in your claim, trip you, and lead you to contradict yourself. So when you claim something to be true, make sure that you can support it.
And did you discover other fields, other industries, aside from the BPO industry?
Well, I'm also considering becoming an ESL teacher, but call center is my first choice.
Why?
Because the tasks of a call center agent are more diverse. And the more diverse, the more skills I learn. And the more skills I learn, the better it is for me career-wise.
How so? How is a call center more diverse than ESL?
Well, with ESL, the customers or the students are paying to be there. They want to be there. They want to learn. So it's less complicated for the ESL teacher. But in a call center, the customers are calling not because they want to, but because they have to. All right, so that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. And there will be a part 2, which is going to be about the do's and don'ts of a call center job interview. So once it's ready, I'm going to link it up here or in the description, whatever. Bye.